In today's video, we continue on with our NHL GM Report Card series. Today, we jump to the other team in Alberta, the Calgary Flames. We'll take a look at the work of Craig Conroy, analyze the signings, the trades, and other moves they've made, and give them a grade on their offseason work. And that's coming up next. Well, welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we continue on our GM Report Card series today, and we look at the Calgary Flames. We started the Western Conference yesterday. We kick things off with Edmonton. Now we jump to their cross-province rival, the Calgary Flames. Very different situation in Calgary. They're rebuilding, whereas the Oilers are contending for the Stanley Cup. They enter right now with $19.9 million in space if they don't do anything more to start the season. They're in a very good salary cap situation, at least. But they certainly have a lot of work that was done and a lot of work that needs to be done before they can really turn the corner on this rebuild. They're still in very much the somewhat early stages of it. Obviously, in the trade market, there was only a couple deals, but they were both fairly significant. On June 19th, we saw them finally deal goalie Jacob Markstrom, who had been rumored to go to the Devils for an extended time. That deal finally come together. They got a 2025 first-round pick and young defenseman Kevin Ball. I was a little underwhelmed by the deal. Ball's a decent defenseman. He just doesn't project to play super high in the lineup. I know the Flames are very high on him. They really like what he brings. I just don't know that long-term he's going to be a top pair or even a top four. He may be more of a third pair defenseman. It's difficult to peg him right now. And, with some stronger development and obviously, more opportunity, maybe he'll play up higher than we think and excel at it. Obviously, in New Jersey, he wasn't going to get much more than an opportunity to be on the third pair. There's just too many, outstanding young defensemen ahead of him right now. But based on what we had heard for rumors around the trade deadline, it just seems underwhelming. Now, of course, some of the rumors were not completely accurate. There was a lot of links of Markstrom and the Devils. That part was for sure accurate. It's just some of the names that were rumored to be in the mix were not confirmed, I guess, is what we had heard later on. It doesn't mean Calgary wasn't asking for those names, because we had heard some rumblings about Dawson Mercer, who today remains unsigned with New Jersey as well. But there was some talk to say that he was never actually on the table on New Jersey's side. So, maybe it was a case of Calgary asking for him to be included, and they never got the agreement. I'm not sure, but it just felt underwhelming. But it is what it is. He wanted to be moved. The link was there for a long time. They pull the trigger and they move on. They trade, fairly long time winger Andrew Mangiapane to Washington for a second round pick. That's not a bad return for him. At one point he was trending like he might be a 30, 40 goal guy. He hit 30 plus, I think, once. And he's kind of been a little bit inconsistent up and down the lineup since then. A fresh start probably would benefit him. The team's also been through a lot of change in the last couple of years. So, he's definitely, earned himself a spot where he can certainly extend his career for sure. And he'll be a decent middle six winger probably for a while yet. But it was time for Mangiapane to get some new start somewhere else and for Calgary to recap what they could. I think that's definitely agreed with that trade, and it was a decent return for what kind of player he is. Signing wise, internally, they took care of a few players, really only one on a long-term basis, and that's Sharon Govich, of course, who came over from New Jersey in a separate deal, of course, last year. Sharon Govich really proved to be a big piece for them. Of course, he was in the Tyler Toffoli deal. He gets a 5-year extension from Craig Conroy at $5.75 million. If Sharon Govich continues to play like he did last year, then that contract will be a very good deal. He can be one of the leaders and be a top-line player for them, at least for the time being. We'll see as the rebuild continues, and maybe they get some more youth in there that might outplay him eventually, but for right now, he's one of their best players. And certainly the contract, I have no issues with it. They extend Dustin Wolf, who they still view as the goalie of the future, 2 years at $850, so that's promising. I think they're still hoping for Wolf to take another step. He's got nothing left at the American Hockey League to accomplish. He's done a lot of great things. He needs to build his consistency now with the NHL, and so far that's been a challenge for him. A couple of young player signings, that was the only ones of really significance. Yan Kuznetsov and Adam Klapka got 1 year deals, 1 year 2-way deals, and then they saw guys like Matt Gradin, Zane Perek, Etienne Morin get ELCs. They drafted well in the first round, taking Parekh with their pick. I think they were hoping to get a Ginla, of course, just because of the connection to his dad. And, of course, Jerome's working for the Flames now, so that would have been cool. But, he ended up going higher to Utah. There was some talk of the Flames having some conversations about maybe moving up, but the prices were quite high. So I think they drafted well, and they did a fine job looking after their internal candidates who were sticking around. Externally, they did bring in some free agents. They brought in Anthony Mantha, a 1-year deal, $3.5 million. I have no problem there on a rebuilding team. A veteran guy who's been 20-25 goal scorer in the past, struggled for a while, kind of rebounded in the second half of last year, and to take a flyer on him for 1 year to see if he can find that again. I have no problem there. He's a big guy, good size, good scoring ability when he's proven it, so we'll see. Devin Cooley comes over, 2 years at league minimum. Obviously, he can be a third-string goalie and somebody who can push Wolf as well. Devin Cooley had a bit of NHL experience at the end of last year in San Jose. We'll see. I think Wolf and Vladar will be your tandem, but Cooley will be there to kind of push and will be the call-up likely if there's any injuries. They bring Ryan Lomberg to Calgary from the Florida Panthers after winning the Stanley Cup, 2 years at $2 million. Might say it's a slight overpayment, but they give it tons of cap space and they need some winning pedigree and some veterans there, so I have no problem there. Bring Jake Bean, which is a bit of a homecoming as well, 2 years, 1.75. I don't mind that contract for Bean, who will definitely play lower in the lineup. He'll probably be a third pair guy. And Martin Ferk gets another crack at the NHL, 1 year at league minimum as well. He's got one of the hardest shots you'll ever see, and certainly played a long time in the King system. So we'll see what happens with him. Maybe he gets a crack at the NHL given where things are at. It's hard to say for sure that he'd grab a regular spot, but I would imagine he'll get some NHL games. So you're probably looking at a forward group of Backlund, Coleman, Huberdeau, Sharon Govich, Mantha, maybe Connor Zary. Those six. Well, I guess you also get Kadri as well. I think Kadri would be more likely to play in the top six. Of course, they could spread things out if they wanted to have three lines that can score and take your guys that are more productive, like your Kadri, Backlund, Sharon Govich, and spread everything out. You could do your lineup that way. You've got Kuzmenko as well. Martin Pospisil, who's a pain in the butt to play against, and has a little bit of skill too. So, they might make up your top nine in some capacities. I'm not sure exactly how they'll do the lines, but obviously Backlund, Sharon Govich, Kadri probably be your top three centers. You get Coleman, Mantha, Kuzmenko, Huberdeau, Zary, Pospisil probably make up your wings on the top three. Lomberg and Walker Dewar and Kevin Rooney likely on your third or your fourth line. Hard to say what other youngsters get in there. Your sixth defenseman that'll be in the lineup next year will be likely Uyghur and Anderson are your top two for sure. They probably won't play together. They'll move them around to obviously spread things out. Mir Manov will get some good opportunity. Kevin Ball, Jake Bean, Pahal, who they brought over later last year, did okay as well. I'll be curious to see if they give Zane Parekh a little bit of an NHL sample. I still think he goes back to junior, but I wonder if he gets a handful of games first before making that jump. If you look at the addition, subtraction, so in and out, coming into the team this year, a handful of players, nothing that's really going to move the needle a whole lot, so I still say Calgary will be, a team near the bottom of the standings this year. Get Anthony Mantha, Devin Cooley, Ryan Lomberg, Jake Bean, Martin Ferk, like I said, some good bets there for guys that maybe have a chance to kind of reinvigorate their careers, but nothing is really going to move the needle. Going out, you get Markstrom, AJ Greer, Mangiapane, Oliver Shillington, who I'm surprised didn't re-sign, and Jordan Orsley as well, another depth defenseman. So, is the team really better? I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't think that was really their goal. They drafted well for sure. They made some moves for some veterans that obviously like Markstrom and Mangiapane that we knew weren't coming back. Like I said, I don't mind the Mangiapane trade. I still feel like Markstrom deal is a little bit underwhelming. But otherwise, and I'm surprised they couldn't find a way to keep Shillington. But at the same time, it sounded like his camp were playing hardball in the contract, but I don't really know if we can confirm that. Vladar and Wolf will be your goalies, so the goaltending tandem is definitely taking a step back as Markstrom won't be there. So I expect the goalies to have a tougher time. We'll see if Wolf can take a step forward in his progress, though. The back end is definitely going to be a little weaker, of course. Last year, even though these guys are not counted on your addition subtraction, but like you saw,
Some other guys moved throughout the course of last season, that were already gone. Like Hannerfin, for example, and Lindholm. So, they were big pieces back there, So you factor that in. No Hannerfin, no Shillington. This is a weakened blue line. It's a weakened goalie tandem with less experience. And the forward group is younger for sure. I mean, it's hard to say if it's really any worse. The fact that, Lindholm's been gone for a little while, but, based on what we have there's some decent options, but this team is definitely going to be taking a step back. But I think that's by design. I didn't expect Conroy to come in and do all these moves and, all of a sudden be like, okay, Calgary's back. That's not the way to go about things. They're gonna have to really bottom out here, which they haven't done yet. So I'm gonna grade Craig Conroy to C+, mainly because I think the return of Markstrom was not as good as it needed to be. They didn't bring back Shillington, which I don't know if that's all in the team or the player or how that worked out, but that's unfortunate. And just overall, they didn't really bring anything in that's really going to move the needle or really challenge the young players. I think there could have been an opportunity to maybe bring in a free agent, at least one that would have been more of a, just more of a challenge for the young guys. But that's tough to do when you're rebuilding. So it's not like they didn't try or what have you. It's just, sometimes you have to grade them for not getting the work done. It's just that simple. So I don't think Conroy didn't really do anything bad. There's nothing that on here that you're really shaking your head or anything like that. They drafted well, which is good. They came out of the draft with some good talent, which is great. The main reason for the markdown on the grade is the Markstrom trade, and I would have liked to have seen them bring in at least one player that gonna maybe move the needle and just challenge the young guys a little bit more. But otherwise, kind of what we expected. We're not at the bottom yet. I think Calgary's still taking a step back before they continue to, start the upswing of their rebuild. So let me know what you think on the Calgary Flames offseason in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.